Hello class, this is a video to kind of show you how to use these Excel spreadsheets that are downloadable here. So once you download those, you'll see different sections down here where the things come from. So the first one that you can use is in 4B, the 4B homework set. So I'm going to open this. So actually, it's easiest to use if you can do the split screen. So here's a problem from 4B. This is problem number 4, and it tells us to use the compound interest formula. Well, if you look on this folder down here, we're in the compound interest calculator, and that's one of the sheets, and it even says 4B there, so you know that it's 4B. But anyway, you put the numbers in here. It says 8,000 is invested at an APR of 5%. You write that as a decimal, so 0.05. And N is the number of compounding periods per year. So interest compounded annually. Annually means one time per year, so put a 1 there. And then the Y is the number of years, so I'll put a 2 there. So there's the amount. Okay, rounded in nearest cents what we want, because it'll tell you to round in nearest cent. So 8820 is our answer. Alright, but it's got other formulas on there. It's got a formula for interest. Right, we start with 8,000, we end up with 8820. You subtract, you get your interest. The yield is the yield formula for the APR. Based on the APR, the amount of times you compound in a year. So it's always 1. I mean, it's always the same, 5%, 5% if this is the same number. I mean, if this is 1. And then this is if it's continuous compounding. Alright, which we'll show an example of later. But I want to show you where the amount comes from. It's, if you were to click view an example here, right, it gives you this formula, A equals P times parentheses 1 plus. Well, if you click here and look up here at the formula in Excel, A2 is 8,000, that's our principal. So that's P times parentheses 1 plus APR. Right, APR B2 is the APR divided by C2. Right, C2 is 1. So the APR divided by 1 is just the APR. Right, and then close the parentheses, raised to the power of, close the parentheses, raised to the power of Y. Right, I've got C2, which is 1, times Y, which is 2. So it's the same thing as, basically what I'm trying to get you to see is what I've got in Excel is the formula for compound interest. It's the compound interest formula. So what I do when I do these problems is on the very top, I put all the different things that go into a formula. P, APR, right, N, which we'll get into more later, and Y. And then I write the formula, but clicking in the cell where the numbers fall rather than writing the letters out. So let me give you another example. So here's the actual compound interest formula. Parentheses, P times parentheses 1 plus. There's the division, there's the multiplication, and the power. So there's the P times parentheses 1 plus, there's the division, APR over N, raised to the C2 times D2, N times Y. C2 times D2, N times Y. B2 is the APR, C2 is N. So I'm just plugging into the formula. I'm just clicking on one of these 4 cells when the letter is called. Okay. So anyway, let's look at this example. So 18,000 is invested. So 18,000 is our principal. APR is 6%, so right as a decimal. N is daily compounding, so that means there's 365 days in a year. And then Y is how many years? 2 still. So there's my answer, rounded in nearest cent. Okay, so 20294.74. Alright, now again, some of these will ask for interest, some will ask for yield. You can use those as well. Alright, find the annual percentage yield. Notice they don't give us an amount. They don't give us how long it was invested. It just gives me the APR and how long it was compounded, or how often it's compounded. So 3.62% as a decimal. I need to write that as 0.0362. Alright, and then how many times is it compounded monthly? So that's 12. Alright, that's all that's needed for yield. So there's our yield, rounded 2 decimal places. So 3.68 is our yield. Alright, the yield formula, again, if you click on view an example, you get a formula to get yield. So they even just tell you to just make up a number, and they show you how to get the yield. I'm using this formula, which is got the compound interest formula in there, but it's got subtraction. So anyway, you can use that. You can follow view an example, but it's fine for you to use these calculators. You're going to have to use this for your project, so I want you to get in practice of how to do this stuff in Excel. Alright, this is number 9. This is a different type of problem. If you read it, you want to start saving today so you can have $35,000 as a down payment you want to make in 5 years. Alright, you're going to make no extra deposits into the account. Alright, that'll come later when we make monthly deposits or something after the initial deposit. So you just want to put down a lump sum and have it grow to $35,000 in 5 years. Alright, but it compounds daily, and this is APR. What do you need to invest today? That's the job of the, if you look at your calculators, the present value calculator. So the way this works is you put in the amount that you want it to grow to, 35,000. Put in your percentage rate, so that's 6%. How many times it's going to be compounded in a year, which is daily, so that's 365. And how many years you have to save this up, so 5. So this is what you need to deposit now to have 35,000 in 5 years in this account. So that's 25,929 and 28 cents. Alright, and again, if you click view an example, what's going on here is this is how you get P. Right? We're just taking the compound interest formula and solving for P, so we divided both sides by this. Well, that's what I got here. If you look at the formula, it's just that instead of dividing by this, I multiplied by that, but I changed the power to a negative, which is the same thing as dividing is multiplying by a negative power. So anyway, I'm just plugging in these formulas into Excel and having Excel do it for you. Okay, so just know that there are these shortcuts with Excel that you can use. Alright, and then this problem right here, number 8, deals with continuous compounding. So back to the regular compound interest calculator. I notice down here it says continuous. So you still put in the information like you do, but for continuous compounding you go down to here. Okay, so and what's the balance for 1, 5, and 20 years, and then also find the yield. So 9,000 is deposited, so I change that to 9,000. APR is 3.9, so 0.039. Alright, N doesn't matter for continuous compounding, and we want to start off with 1, and then 5 and 20. So for 1, we get this amount, 93.5793. And then for 5, we'll just change that 1 to a 5. So that's 10,937 and 80. Okay, and then for 20, $19,633 and a quarter. All right, and then the yield. There's our yield. All right, yield that means yield for the continuous compounding. So we want to round it to 2 places. So that's going to be 3.98%. All right, so notice that all of these questions, just about all of them, that deal with you computing either a yield, an amount, present value, they can be done with this calculator. Now there's some that you're going to have to do a little bit of this on your own. So you can figure out how to use the calculators for some of these others, but then it's not directly like it is for some of the ones that I've got highlighted here. Okay, so you can use the calculator however you want to. It's there for you. Just download it. You can use it on the quizzes. You can use it on your final exam when you come to campus to take it.